Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Tricia Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Are Family. Hi, Tricia.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. And
I
yourself?
I love it. I love it. Good, good, good. It's getting nice and it's always nice and sunny here in Florida, but man, it's been some beautiful weather. Nice blue skies and lots of fresh water flowing down here too. So and you came down to see me and you saw everything going on down here. This is a bridge I always call you over. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I got to meet Mr. Frank. I did. I got to finally meet the famous Mr. Frank, and
Oh
he's
my
so
God.
tall. I think I must have
I
said that.
know.
How many times did I say that? I'm like, he's so
A lot.
tall. Yeah, because he's so. I mean, Brutus is a little hippopotamus. You know what I mean? He's short.
I love that. I love that they're so different though. But yeah, Mr. Frank is tall. I mean, he really is. I don't know, he's like a midi size, a midi French bulldog. What do you think?
I agree, but they have such different personalities coming from the same. They have one parent the same, but they have so he's just like he just could care less if you're in the house. He just
He could care less. He doesn't,
yeah.
yeah.
Now
It's like you're here to feed me, you're here to like cover me with a blankie, but other than that, you can go on about your day.
yeah,
That's
where
exact
Brutus
that
yes, totally. Brutus is the opposite. He's like, excuse me, garçon, I need a lap. I need a lap. Excuse me, garçon. And if you leave him like, if he doesn't know where we are in the house, he like loses his mind and he just sits there and barks until one of us come to him.
Oh my God.
He's like, "Arr, rah, 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 where are you? Where are you? I can't find you."
He'll do that. Frank will do that, but he just wants to know where you are in relation to like the food bowl or what you're doing. So, yeah, I mean, Mr. I wish Mr. Frank was a Klingon dog. I really do, but he's not at all.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, Brutus is like a stage 10 Klingon. I mean, like, I make comments all the time. Like, I understand now why guys don't like clingy women. You know what I mean? Or,
This is true. This is
yeah,
true. I don't like clingy men. So that's
right.
probably why I don't have a clingy dog because I don't like clingy men. If you're a clingy man, don't contact me.
I don't like clingy people either, but my dog is like, he's like a stage 10 Klingon, man. He's awful. I can't sit on the couch. Like, I can't even get my butt on the couch. And he's like on my lap. And I'm like, oh my, I'm like, let me get settled, dude. Just let me get settled. And he's like, nope,
Aw.
I'm right here.
I like that though. I like that though. I really do. I think that that's a good thing. I do. And I think a lot of people want that and they need that from a standpoint of they want to be needed, they want to be wanted. And I think when you got a dog like that, then that fulfills that need of yours. Probably Frank knows I don't. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking in terms of anthropomorphism, what I need, what he needs. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't, that's, to me, it's still a little clingy.
Well, speaking of what we need, and what is it? Like, oh no, the Rolling Stones song came into my head. You can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. But you try sometimes. So today, I thought we could talk about something that we have heard over and over and over again. And you know what I'm talking about,
Yep.
Jess. And that's about our veterinarians. And it's something that I know that we've had multiple conversations with. But from a standpoint, when what do the veterinarians maybe want from us when we say, I've got questions, I feel lost, did I miss something? And I think today we need to maybe say some of those things that are not said out loud. What do you think?
I think it's true. You know what I mean? It's, what I think it's sometimes what do we need to say to them? What do they need to say to us? You know what I mean? And I think sometimes the conversations are hard to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I don't think that this is meant to create tension because,
No.
you know, within our sphere, we have so many veterinary technicians, veterinarians. I think if anything, this conversation is really made to maybe make things better
Yeah.
for you, for your veterinarian, but most importantly, your pet. Because if you are not feeling like I've gotten my questions answered, if you feel like, you know, well, I came out of there and I felt rushed. So maybe let's start with the big one. Why do veterinary appointments seem so rushed? So from the minute you, maybe when you sit down, that all of a sudden it seems like you're being escorted out the door with flying colors, and that's not necessarily a good thing. What do you think about that, Jess?
I think it's that way because they don't the way they schedule them. I personally think, you know what I mean. You know,
Yeah.
like I know when I go to my vet. I mean, I get my vet is good about they come in and they, you know, they really try to spend the time, but you know they have a vet tech come in first. They do all the vitals.
Yeah.
You know, just like a nurse, they have all the vitals done, ask all the questions, and then the vet comes in and says, you know, I hear you have some questions, da 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 da. But
Yeah.
you know, it's like you get pre-scanned ahead of time.
I'm going to agree with you, and I think let's look at it from both sides because coming from the veterinary profession, they're seeing 15 to 20 clients a day, right?
Yeah,
And I think they've got the
like
appointments, the
more.
callbacks, the emergencies, they've got the constant, you know, juggling things. And then if a client shows up late and if there's, you know, something else that goes on, I don't know, it's not that your veterinarian doesn't care. It's maybe that they're trying to take care of everyone and maybe everything. And I don't think it doesn't make your experience any less frustrating, but maybe it does give us some context. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, I think it's just like a doctor's office. You know what I mean? They're not
Yeah.
trying to make less of your appointment. They just are trying to, I hate to say this, but just move you along.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that word moved you along. Get you out of here, you know. But I
But
think,
I don't think they care any less for you than they do the next person. It's just that if you don't have any questions, and if you don't ask the questions or you present the questions, you know what I
right.
mean, then there's no reason to keep you there.
I think 100% on that one. And I think that's when, if you are not communicating with your veterinarian, if you're just going along with the flow, then that's where I think confusion starts. And
Right.
that's when mistakes happen or delays happen because, you know, you think you're getting one thing, you think you're saying one thing, and then you're OTD. And then, you know, it's like, but I didn't get answered. I didn't talk about this. I didn't talk about that. And I, you know, and I think I want a relate. Isn't this a dichotomy? I want a relationship. We want a relationship when it comes to our pets, right? Don't
Right.
you?
Well,
We want to. I want a veterinarian I can trust. I want it. I want somebody to know me, that they just don't come in and go bada bing bada boom. You know, I want that experience to where I feel welcome and that he knows me, or she knows me as a person, but also knows my pet, and then maybe ask questions. But maybe some veterinarians don't, right?
but here comes the question I'm going to ask you. Realistically, how can a veterinarian to get to know you in that 2 minutes that they spend with you once every year?
That's true. I
And
mean, I
and you're asking.
hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully it's more times than that they're going than that. But I think
I
that
mean, but
that's
or
on
say
average.
if you're going twice a year. I mean, an average pet goes once a year for its annual shots. You know, maybe you go every 6 months for for checkups. But I mean, you don't
Yeah.
go any more than 6 times or every 6 months. You know what I mean? So you're asking a vet to become your buddy buddy you know what I mean, and get to know you, and you're asking them to do it in 2 minutes in 2 days out of 365. So it's 4 minutes. You want him to be your bestie.
And you have a problem with that?
I
And
have
your
a
point is,
problem. I don't
but
have a
that
problem with it. I'm just being realistic.
right. But this is where the conversation happens, because if you think that I want a relationship, I want a birthday card, I want him to like know my, what's happening in my life, that's not reality, right?
Right.
It's not.
Right.
But many people perceive that that's the way that things should happen. So going one step further, we just talked about from the standpoint of the amount of time they spend with you and how many times that you go to the veterinarian. What about an emergency, and what constitutes an emergency? And is there a difference between urgent and critical? Because I work in a veterinary clinic at Gulf Coast Humane Society, and we're building a brand new building. And people call all the time, and I want to be seen. And so, for instance, Mr. Frank this weekend had like a URI. He had an upper respiratory infection. He had a snotty nose. He had the kind of like reverse sneeze. He was lethargic. So I have a relationship with a veterinarian because I work with them. But I was able to text. They were able to get me in. But does that constitute an emergency?
No.
Not really. No.
No. It's a cold.
It is a cold. It's cold. But I took it as an emergency, and I think that's, and I didn't take it as an emergency. I said, hey, this is going on. What should I do? And they said, bring him in. What constitutes an emergency, Jessica? Is it, are you having trouble breathing? Are you having a seizure? Is it what are some emergencies that where you shouldn't wait, where maybe a cold you should wait?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question to, because you know what I mean. If you're not drowning or fires involved, you know what I mean. I'm not an emergency. You know that about me. You know what I mean. You've called me and said, what's going on, and I'd be like, well, like Brutus with the bubble on his butt.
Yeah.
You would have been like at the ER, that day, and I'm like, oh,
I would have.
Yeah, you would have been at the ER, and I'm like, it's okay. We'll wait till tomorrow when the ER vet's open. We're fine. And mind you, had a hole in his butt like that big. I'm like, he'll be fine. But I also knew that there was nothing they could do. They couldn't stitch it up. I knew that they couldn't. All they're going to do is clean it out. I cleaned it out, you know what I mean? And just waited till the morning to go to my regular vet that could see him.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it wasn't, but
Yeah, but then the emergency of calling your veterinarian, like a lump, one episode of vomiting, a change in appetite. Oh my God, he's not eating. And that's, me, that's where I go like, holy crap, he's not eating. What do I do? Blah, 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 blah. And I become the exact opposite of what I say that I want. That's like a Plenty of Fish story. We'll talk about that later, but I mean that it's what I really want. Yeah. So I'm going to go off topic here. There is a dating site called Plenty of Fish, and it was like
everybody knows about Plenty of Fish.
Yeah, and and the guy who originated it, it was a long time ago. But the guy that originated it actually created something really the first of its kind. So say you were a guy, and you and in your profile you said, I want a blonde that I want to marry, and I want her to like hiking, yoga, and table tennis. But when you were on the Plenty of Fish platform, you were like searching like hot, like redheads and like women like you that had their hair up, and like, that other girl, maybe not the marrying kind. And so what this guy did is he created and changed the algorithms to where you didn't get what was on your profile. You got what you were looking for. So I don't know how I got off topic on that one, but now he like works 5 hours a week.
Yeah. I don't know how emergency vet and cleaning
I,
fish work together, but
well,
okay.
because the things that we think that we're looking for, you know,
Hmm.
and I think the bigger issue is that some people overreact, and that sometimes other people wait too long when it actually does matter. So I think in terms of a veterinarian, in terms of the clinic itself, and in terms of being that pet parent, what does constitute an emergency?
I
And
think
for
if you put yourself in the shoes of your animal and you said to yourself, "Would I go to the ER for this?"
yeah,
And if you said, "I would go to the ER," then it's time to take your pet to the ER.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I look
What,
at it. Would I go
and,
to the
and,
ER if this was me?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. But I think that most pet parents don't feel that way. I think most pet parents feel that, oh gosh, what is this? And become hyper vigilant about it. But on the other side, the number one really concern is the waiting to see if it gets better, or, life's busy or whatever. And then all of a sudden, this thing that could have been taken care of with a simple appointment becomes a larger than life emergency, right?
Mm-hmm. It can
Do you
be,
think
yeah.
so?
So, yeah,
Yeah.
easily. You know what I mean? Breathing issues are that's an ER visit. You know what I mean? If your dog can't breathe, that's a definite ER visit. Multiple throw ups, that's an ER visit. You know, if your dog can't stop
Yeah.
throwing up, just like you, as human, if you can't, your kid doesn't stop throwing up, that's an ER visit. If your kid can't breathe, that's an ER visit. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good rule of thumb. What about, I think another thing that I've heard from multiple conversations and being in the veterinary profession is that cost. And I think much of the frustration lives within the cost, because it can feel expensive and it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like it's like, and I think it's because, and tell me if you agree with this or not, veterinary care is not subsidized the way our human health care is, right?
No,
And
it's not. It's
so
expensive.
I think every test, every piece of equipment, every person who comes in to see you, every team member, that all contributes to the cost. And
Yep.
I think there's a communication gap with that. And I don't think that oftentimes it's explained properly. Would you agree with that?
I don't think it's explained at all. I don't think I forget properly. I don't think it's explained at all. You
Okay.
know
So how do we fix that?
that is a thing that we can't fix. I think that's how it's fixed. Is that what I mean that things are explained more to the pet parents by the veterinarian offices, that like this is A B C D and E instead.
Yep.
But I think, unfortunately, I think they play on the emotions that are going on at the time. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's heightened emotions, and they're looking at this bill going, okay, that's A, B, and C. These are what's going to cost, A, B, and C, and this A, B, and C, and C being the most expensive
Yeah.
and A being the cheapest. But C and B and C are the ones that are going to keep your pet
Right.
alive. Well,
Yep.
when you're boo-hooing, you're going to pick B and C because that's all you can think of is keeping Fluffy alive.
Right. So what can our audience ask? What's some questions that they can ask? Maybe like, what's important now? What are my options? So, and I think also, are we as pet parents, you walk in, do you say to them, listen, I've only got $125 in my bank account right now, so this better not be over $125. That, first of all, you're not going to walk in for that, but
Yeah,
um,
we can't get
I
through the
think,
door for that
yeah,
alone, but
I,
you know.
yeah. So, but how do you broach that subject? Because I think if we're honest, if our audience, if pet parents are honest up front and they start the communication before, then maybe it becomes a larger topic. Because if you're, again, it goes back to that first, I use my hands a lot.
That's okay.
If you, I know, I think you sit on your hands. Do you sit on your hands?
No, they're right here.
Okay. Maybe I should sit on my hands. I don't think so because I have to talk. And I couldn't talk without my hands. So I think maybe having, and it goes back to that very first communication topic, that we've got to have that open dial-up of communication, that we're asking questions. We're saying what's in our budget. We're asking, hey, I don't understand what that means. Or you say, maybe you do like a pre-interview checklist before you walk into that veterinarian and say, okay, I want A, B, C, and D answered. And if I can only get in two, what would be the first two ones that are the most important? And then maybe one of those is cost, because if you have limits, your communication, and tell me if I'm wrong here, is what's going to protect your pet, right?
It's your limits, and also if you can take your emotions out of it and make us, yeah. I have done that and been criticized for it too, though. You know, because if you take your emotions out of it and you're making a decision about your pet, and you're making the decision for your pet, for the best for your pet without being emotional, and you're taking the emotion out of the decision and you're just thinking about the pet and what's best for your pet. But you do get criticized for that. You know what I mean? Because you're taking the emotion out of it, and they want you to make the decision out of the emotions, not out of what's rational.
Yeah, I agree. And remember, I protect veterinarians to the end, but it's my world. But there are breakdowns in communication, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, because I think that's the only way they can be better, and we can be better as maybe being better pet parents and being a best client. So to that one, what does being a really best version of yourself, or being a great client, actually look like? What does that look like? Is it maybe being on time? Is it maybe coming in with notes?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's coming in with notes, being respectful of their time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be respectful of their opinion, you know what I mean? And being respectful of what they share, and make the right decision for you and your pet.
Right. And I think it's also, if something is recommended to you and that veterinarian takes the time to say, hey, maybe you want to do a supplement, maybe you want to do this bath, or maybe you want to do A, B, C, and D, and you've had that conversation, but you don't follow through on what's recommended, how are you going to have the best outcome? And I don't think the best outcome for you and your, and your pet, your dog or your cat or your pterodactyl or whatever you want to call it, is ever going to come from just one visit. I think, and here I go back to that relationship and that partnership, because I think when you have that and you have that commonality, and I want to understand, but I don't know what you know. I don't know what my pet knows. He can't tell me. You have a better handle on it than I do, maybe, because we as pet parents may have more knowledge than they do. So I think there's a lot to unpack, and I think that when you've got that really beautiful relationship with your veterinarian, you're going to get so much more of communication. You're going to get a partnership, and you're going to get more time with your pet. And I think that's what we all want. And we want the best, healthiest outcome.
I agree 100% with that one, Yeah. So just be prepared.
Be prepared. Listen to the questions, take notes, and, really understand that we never know. Like, right now on the way home, on the way here, I could have had traffic, or I think all of these underlying factors that we face every day, that we face, in our lives, whether it's financial difficulties, whether it's traffic, whether it's like, oh my gosh, this happened at work or whatever. You don't know what's going. Maybe if we take things of the outliers into consideration as well, then maybe we can get a better handle on things. So,
Yeah.
guys, I think that was a lot to unpack with you guys. I hope you got something from that. And I hope that when we go, or you go to your veterinarian the next appointment, that maybe come with notes, come with questions, and then really start that communication. And if you don't understand something, say something, ask questions.
Right.
That's the only way that we're going to get the answers we need. And your pet is going to have that long, healthy life that we all want.
Exactly. So until next time, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Pets Are Family. You can find us on all the channels now. Yes, all of the channels now. So make sure you share us with your friends, your families, and your coworkers, and anybody that has a pet. Make sure you like us, give us your feedback, tell us if anything that you want us to talk about, all that fun stuff. You can reach me at jessica@petsourfamily.net or Tricia at petsourfamily.net. Thank you for everything that you guys do, but make sure you like us, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. You can always see what we're up to. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the people that support us. We love every one of you, and we can't thank you enough. And remember, check out Moose's March, moosesmarch.com, moosesmarch.com. Come check us out. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.